Welcome to the Minimalist CEO podcast with Nate Lindquist. Nate created the Minimalist CEO method to help business owners redefine and grow their businesses by finding new demand in places they never thought to look, where there's no competition. By following his opposite thinking strategy, Nate's coaching clients have grown their business up to 40% in just 2 months and created tens of millions of dollars in revenue. Nate himself has launched more than 140 businesses. On the show, Nate interviews successful business owners and experts who share the secrets you can use to have a better business and a better life.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Nate Lindquist with the Minimalist CEO podcast, and we're working every day, every week to make the podcast even better, more hard-hitting, more focused on what it means to focus on what's essential, to cut away the waste, to create a lifestyle that you love while doing business that helps people. And one of the things we're really focused on right now is turning competitors into clients. And that's something we're really excited about. So getting rid of that competition traffic jam. But I'm here today with our amazing new guest. We just get all these great business owners who've done things that open up our minds and change our thinking. And I'd love to introduce everyone to Pavel Stepanov, the founder of Virtudesk. And I'm going to let him explain what he's up to, what he's doing. But Pavel, thanks for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Nate, for hosting me. Thanks for the warm welcome. What I do, I'm a founder of, as you said, founder of Virtudesk. Virtudesk is a virtual assistant company. We provide highly trained virtual assistants for small, medium-sized businesses. So if you are a solopreneur or entrepreneur, or you actually run a big company, virtual assistants is basically what, like if you roll back, let's say like 10, 15 years ago, big Fortune 500 companies were outsourcing all of their labor to India, the Philippines, or other countries. And now small business owner can actually get the same what Fortune 500 companies used to have. So basically we bringing this gap together so everybody can get a VA and scale faster and with the least expense.
Yeah, I can tell you when I look at some of the, I'd say, epiphanies, breakthroughs that I've had over the years, it really has come down to like find someone who really loves what you're doing and wants to help, who's able to help in something, and watch what happens. And the virtual assistant, I mean, for me, I remember reading that in 4-Hour Workweek from Tim.
I was about to talk about it. Yeah. Tim Ferriss' book. Yeah.
I read that and he's like, outsource the stuff that you hate, but also the stuff that you're never going to get to. And then you find out like you've got this room, like the stuff you're doing to get by and survive moves to like, hey, we really ought to be doing this thing that's even better. And suddenly you move from like survival to really showing up for your clients, really doing better sales and marketing. So if you look at, there's a lot of people that have virtual assistants, Pavel. So I'd love if part of what you could share here is what is it that makes your Virtudesk unique as it compares to maybe sort of all the other options that are out there. People do a search all the time and they find all these options. I mean, you search in Google, there's all these options for virtual assistants. So what puts you guys at the top of the pile, and in what category or what niche do you love to thrive?
Well, we actually mostly, I'd say probably about 80% of our clients are real estate companies, real estate brokerages, or individual agents. Because my background, I come from real estate. So we kind of started out in that niche first. So we trained our VAs specifically in that field, but now we are actually branching out to different industries. However, what sets us apart, since let's say you can always go to like, any Philippines board or Facebook group and find a VA cheap and do it yourself kind of a thing. Well, what we do more of a la carte kind of approach, like a white glove service. Yeah, you pay a little bit extra. However, we vet all the VAs ourselves. We look for them. We interview them. We vet them. We also do background check, all of that. Plus, when your VA starts working for you, you also get our company as a package deal, whereas we're managing the VA, we're making sure the VA is getting all the benefits, the medical benefits, retirement benefits in the Philippines, because we also a corporation in the Philippines as well as in the US. So you kind of get the benefits of both. At the same time, let's say, something happens, life happens, your VA resigns, gets hit by a bus, God forbid, or whatever. We can simply provide a replacement and train replacement on your systems that you already have. So for example, if your VA, let's say, resigns, you don't have to start from scratch. You pretty much, the system's already there, so we can easily uptrain a replacement on your stuff, and he or she will be, good to go very quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think the idea that might be one big fear, objection, like, hey, listen, I've had a number of VAs. I think a lot of people have tried VAs, and the experience right away is they didn't show up, or I couldn't get them.
They don't.
Couldn't reach them for 3 hours, 6 hours. And it was like, oh, the power went out in our side of the country, or, not to be disrespectful, but there's a lot of weird stuff that happins that I think as business we don't expect. So you've covered one point, but I want to jump on to, as you're talking, I'd just be curious, what was, in building this together, working with teams overseas, working with teams in the United States, you're located up in Seattle. What are some of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome, and what did you do to improve your success in the process?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is obviously, hiring the right talent for the team. And when you are hiring somebody overseas from here, people always present themselves in the best light possible. So you got to have good people there, so to say, like boots on the ground to verify everything, to make sure you actually, all the household items are being covered. Because as a customer, when you hire a virtual assistant, you see only one side of the equation. You don't see what goes in the back of it: the payroll, the medical benefits, the different life events that come up. Like as you said, power outage. So we first did is just build out the infrastructure for all of that, so we have the bandwidth to be able to provide services to our clients and be good at it. And that's what was the obstacle, I guess. But with the right team in place, we were able to actually overcome a lot of them. I mean, we still have obstacles. It's just, if we didn't, we wouldn't be in business. It's just, everyday things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think, if you looked in your business, or you had to get started, how long have you been in business? Just
it's our 5th year. It's going to be 5 years in December. Yeah.
And how big have you gotten the company from the standpoint of revenue and team members?
I think we're about at over 500 team members at this time.
Okay.
And we're in revenue. I believe, I don't want to say exact amount, because we're going to find out at the end of the year from my accountant, but we're a multi-million-dollar company.
Awesome. So getting to that point, you must have had some turning points where you're just like, starting a business for anyone's challenging. So could you maybe define what was your biggest turning point, where sort of you had this old view of what you were doing and why it was going to be great, where things just started to click and fall into place and kind of turn the corner? When did you turn the corner?
COVID.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only word I'll tell you, COVID. Because what happened is, when last year, when everything went into the lockdown, nobody had any idea what the hell was going on, man. I spoke with different CEOs, different companies, and nobody knew what was going on. So at first we saw people were scared. They didn't know what's going on. However, they figured out, well, business got to get going. Everybody's working from home. But we as a company were set up to work from home. All of our staff was actually working from home. So we were actually able to grow during that time. During probably a couple of months after COVID started, we were able to grow, I want to say probably 70-80% of the company. Okay. Then when a lot of call centers in the Philippines closed shops because of COVID, because of restrictions, because they have way tighter restrictions than we ever had here. We didn't even have a fraction what they even still have over there. Checkpoints going from one city to another, military enforced quarantines. So all of that, and people couldn't go to work, so they were left without jobs. So we went in and scooped up a lot of talent from those call centers. And since we were actually equipped to work from home, we were able to provide them with our software that they could work from home. So we could, have the connection with them and pretty much have the bandwidth that would support and allow us to bring the talent. So we were able to actually place them with clients. So COVID was actually the turning point for us.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about virtual teams and the idea of what Zoom did during the COVID time, I mean, Zoom video, and Zoom became sort of a household name, with all the kids and everyone doing it. And so, well, it's great that you got through that. It's great that you're able to carry your team through it. I would love it if you could just share maybe some of the stuff as you build the business. How you start to create clutter and you're really busy, you get a lot going on. You can't just give everything to a virtual assistant. So a big part of being a minimalist CEO is about what you cut away. And I think the first thing that you cut away are distractions. So what were some of the distractions that got in your way, or maybe the things that were not the best use of your time? Maybe you could share a little bit about what they were and how you got rid of them.
Yeah. Even like the morning routine that let's say you open up your emails and you have a lot of emails, like probably 70% of them are going to be irrelevant, or some of them would require responses. So my team members actually monitor my emails, so I don't go there. And at least it eliminates a lot of distraction, to be honest with you. Because if I'm the kind of person when I'm wired that way, if I get an email, I want to respond right away, because if I don't, I'm going to forget about it. So, but that actually takes out a lot of time out of my schedule doing what I'm doing. So my team members are already monitoring all of that, only bringing to my attention what's actually important and what actually needs to be addressed personally. Otherwise, they address it. Okay. Same thing like whenever posting on social media. I mean, I hate posting, but I do. But a lot of times my team members actually go to like LinkedIn and post and reply to messages. So if you come to think of it, a lot of those tasks, they seem minimal. They seem like unimportant, but they really take out a lot of time out of our schedules, if you come to think of it. So eliminating all of that was actually very helpful.
Yeah.
Just the basic idea, Now,
one of the things you noted, I've noted in sort of when we talked initially and also in your background and your bio, is this idea that a lot of people aren't focusing on revenue generating activities. And
that's right.
Things that have a direct impact on the bottom line. So could you expand on what happened in your business and maybe some of the results that you're able to get, and maybe share some of the shifts that you actually made and what it did for you, if you could?
Sure. Well, for example, we are, let's say, working with a lot of real estate agents as, our clients. Okay. When I have conversation with real estate agents, and I also own a real estate brokerage here in Seattle, we have 80 agents here. So and when I was observing before even Virtudesk was started, when I was observing what they were doing, a lot of agents were focusing on things that actually would probably cost like $10 an hour to do, if you come to think of it. For example, prospecting calls. You can make prospecting calls yourself, or you can hire somebody to do them for you. Administrative work, like organizing the database in a CRM, all of that. Let's say you're a business owner and you need to focus on sales. You need to speak with your customer. I was telling real estate agents, you have to be focusing on 3 things: meeting with clients, negotiating deals, and closing them. That's what you should be focusing. All the rest must be outsourced, because all the rest is all this noise that it's there. It's necessary for your business to run, but it actually costs way less than your time to outsource it to somebody who can actually do it for you, get paid for doing it. You basically buy your time back from this person. That's what you do. If, let's say, your hourly rate, for example, $100 an hour, why would you be spending your time doing tasks that cost $10 an hour? Make sense?
Yeah. So you think getting a virtual assistant for prospecting, a virtual assistant for clearing up your email, maybe dealing with
social media marketing, answering emails, customer service, answering phones. If it's a real estate company, doing the transaction paperwork, going back from, between, the contracts, all of that all can be done with a virtual assistant by somebody who actually spending time doing it and doing it every day, and probably, frankly, doing it already better than you are. So
there's virtual assistants that are really good at prospecting and following up and all those kinds of things to get people onto the maybe appointment setting too.
Exactly. That's exactly how I started with a virtual assistant myself 7 years ago. I hired the person to actually do prospecting calls for me so I can go to the appointments, meet with the people, and actually close deals. So that was my job. My job was not just to sit on the phone every day and call them. I've done it before, but then I figured, if I could spend this time actually meeting with people instead of, calling and prospecting, then it would be probably better use of my time. So she was scheduling me appointments. I was going on appointments and closing deals. That's what I was doing. That's the idea came to actually scale it on a bigger level.
Wow, that's great. I think a lot of people who have businesses tend to keep themselves really busy. And, I've heard it said recently, and, the idea, this idea that busy is lazy. You haven't put a system in place to handle the things in your business. You don't understand your processes. So, I think this is huge. I think it's a good reminder. I believe it's the part of, like we talked about, the 4-hour work week that inspired me the most. Like,
me too.
Tim said, yeah. So it hit you too. He said, go get help with a virtual assistant, have them assist you with anything, and watch what happens to the rest of your ability to start to sort of delegate to elevate?
And frankly, Nate, I mean, we are making money so we can actually enjoy lives, enjoy our lives. We have to, spending time with family, spending time with kids, watching them growing up. That's in itself has value that you cannot put a dollar amount on. If you're bearing yourself with work, if you have this work hard kind of a hustle going on all the time, you're missing out on more important stuff in your life. That's irreversible. So yeah, you do spend time with your family, and your business shouldn't be suffer because of that. Also, at the same time, when you spend a lot of time in your business, your family life may suffer, your friends may suffer. You still got to enjoy life. We don't know how long we all have left. So life is not just about making money and staying busy in your work. Make sense?
I face that all the time. I mean, even though I teach and I coach and I mentor and I show business owners how to create a lifestyle of freedom, sometimes I find myself wanting to be available because I really love helping people and I love solving problems. And it's like, then I look up and I just worked, it's like I took that early call at 6:30. I took the call at 8:30 at night. And next thing you know, it's like, wait a minute, I've kind of like regressed back into this storm of always being pulled into someone else's deadline, someone else's problem. I love the idea of not only having a virtual assistant, but I also think here's the way we do things. We have a process. Here's the people in the system that execute their piece of the process.
Yep.
Say no to everything else. I would imagine you're good in business. You already have a couple of businesses, maybe more than you've shared. Have you found yourself in that situation where you've had to say no to other things that might seem entrepreneurial, opportunities?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah, a few times. Because again, I mean, I'm focusing on several things that I'm doing right now. And I mean, I've been bombarded with different, opportunity calls, but I've turned them down again, because again, I don't want to be that busy, frankly. Another thing, as I said, life is not only about money, life is about living.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to have the money and you're not going to be able to spend them and work yourself to death, it's not good either. So there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. And that's what the balance, comes in when you actually outsource or leverage some of the help that needs to be done. But if you're basically being just pulled in everywhere and you got to go, I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you have to go, at your own pace of this,
Yeah. So you think of this as sort of a long, think of the long ball, think about how you want to play and keep your, pace yourself and make it the long trip, not just, constant little sprints all along.
Exactly. You can build your own legacy. You can build your own, I'm not saying just a company itself, but build the legacy. I mean, you have life to live, you have to be remembered by something, not just only the guy who constantly worked. I mean, life consists of moments that are, memorable and valuable to all of us. So
well, I have a couple more questions, Pavel. Yeah. And I think one of the best ways to shine a light, I mean, I got to be a mentor by making tons of mistakes. So I would love to know if you could if you have any stories that you could share. I mean, we're all business owners. We got stories. If you could share a story where you made one of your bigger mistakes and
I make it all the time.
So maybe look back, you got into this business. What's one of your biggest mistakes as you forget about just this business, but just along the journey of becoming a business owner? What's one of the bigger mistakes that you made that maybe could help our listeners, start to think about and be like, wow, this person got through it. I can too.
Well, one of the biggest mistakes will be to actually dwell on a mistake. Okay. I don't dwell on them. I just move on. I just move on and I don't even remember about it, and I just don't even bring it back. For example, I went to law school. Okay. I wanted to become a lawyer. And at a point in my life, when I was about to graduate, I figured I made a mistake of actually going to law school because I didn't want to be a lawyer, But again, societal stigma, more of a like, okay, you have to graduate, you have to go to law school, you have to get a higher education. So a lot of people maybe in that predicament who right now in college or in grad school, they're thinking, okay, well, I have to get it done, because if I don't, I'm not going to be in life where I want to be. This is just all wrong. Just disregard it seriously. So I thought at the moment I made a mistake of actually doing it. But again, I graduated, I got my diploma, but then I started doing other stuff. I went to business, and at the moment, because law school gave me a lot of experience as far as like educational, academia, how to read contracts. I know all of that stuff, how to, think critically, but it also comes with a lot of debt.
Yeah.
So
you can't undo that. So you hit on a little.
You can't undo that. Yeah, you can't undo that.
You hit on a good nugget here, Pavel, and I think I think shining a light on it would be really helpful. This idea of, I think we're taught, finish what you started. You don't follow through. And I think if I look at when I made my biggest mistake in business, it was continuing to fight to grow something that I had found a degree of success in. And I was doing well in it as a marketing firm, and I was doing spin-off firms, an illustration firm. Yeah. And I found I held on to the growth strategy and marketing firm. We're actually doing the work, digging the trench of all the graphic design teams and illustrators and videographers and all stuff. And my biggest mistake was finishing what I started. So there's kind of a double meaning there, isn't there? Like finish what you started might mean, put the stakes in the ground to be finished, hit the finish line.
Yeah, you have to finish. Yeah, exactly. Else. I know exactly. Yeah.
And the other side of it is, don't finish. It's not going to become what you want.
That's exactly what I was getting to. And that's what my regret was like. I went and finished it. Okay. It didn't give me anything what would help me. However, I incurred a lot of debt because of that. Okay. Yeah. So it took me a while to get out from the debt, to pay it off, to pay down the student loan, to pay it off. Okay. It took a couple of years to do that. However, experience of going through that just because you had to finish it. Same thing if I'm not advocating for or against college education. Okay. No way I'm not doing that. Okay. However, if you don't feel that this is something you should be doing, but you feel the societal pressure to finish it, don't finish it. That's just what it is, but that's probably one of the mistakes. But again, I don't dwell on mistakes.
Yeah. No, I dig that. I think that's a big insight. And I also think the idea is people love to get to work, but if you don't have a virtual assistant, you probably are going to get to $10 an hour work when you could be making $500 an hour. And you may never know what that feels like if you don't free up your time and give yourself some space.
Correct.
So I'm going to encourage all of our listeners to go check out Virtudesk, to go find out what it means to, put someone in, even if it's just part-time, to get a taste of it. And you can have a part-time option I noticed on there. So I think that
we do. Yeah.
If someone, as a business owner, I think the idea is like, listen, go find a way, sit down, have the conversation, make a little list of, hey, listen, if you could do these things, not only don't think of it as improving your business, think of it as freeing yourself up. What would 5 or 10 hours a week look like that you could buy back? If you could buy 5 or 10,
buy back your time. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a brilliant way to look at it. This is huge, Pavel. And I think that would be my recommendation for everyone as a takeaway from this, if they got nothing else. So I'm actually going to answer my last question. What's the big takeaway? I think they need to check out Virtudesk. I promise everyone, I'm not an affiliate. So I'm simply saying I'm going to say I dig what you're doing. I'd like to check out what you're doing. I'm committed to taking a closer look at it. So you and I will have a call after this, if that sounds good, Pavel.
Sounds good, brother. Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, this has been a great interview. First of all, Pavel, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your experience and for giving us a different perspective and our listeners a perspective on both the concept of having a virtual assistant, but also just the idea of I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is that you were going to be an attorney and you didn't finish what you started, but no one ever starts over. You always take what it is you figured out along the way with you. And then you can start something that builds on that you're pumped about, that you're excited about. And I can tell already that you're digging what you're doing well at it. Obviously you're on the podcast. And thanks so much for being on here, Pavel. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for hosting me, Nate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So to all our listeners, again, I'm Nate Lindquist. This is the Minimalist CEO podcast. We're coming back at you every week with a whole new depth of how business owners overcome challenges, what they can cut away, sometimes doing less but better. Big shout out to Greg McEwen, also Tim Ferriss, for all the work that you've done. I will say, I'm going to give a shout out to another book that I'm reading right now that's been awesome, just as a little tip or an idea. It's Christian based, but it's not. I'm not suggesting it just for religious reasons, but I am going to tell you that it's a phenomenal book that really gets you thinking. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. So I'm going to recommend that. Again, I'm not an affiliate. I really enjoyed the book. I also enjoyed The One Thing and Essentialism. But thanks for listening to the podcast. Please download it and share it if you found this helpful. Put a comment in, put a review. Let us know if you have someone who you think you'd love to have on the podcast, or if you're interested, if you hear this, listen, I really got some insights. I went through some challenges. I made some mistakes. I want other people to learn from that. That'd be huge. And look in the show notes to learn about Pavel Stepanov, the founder of Virtudesk. This stuff that he's doing is really, really good, really helpful. And Yeah, this has been a great time. So again, Pavel, thanks a lot for the time, and thanks everyone for listening. And we'll be back real soon with the next episode. So check back in, make sure you subscribe, and I'll talk to everybody soon.